Intro video. Intro video.
Their energy via social media without having to even be near them.
That is racist. You're correct. It is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, the hating.
It's surprisingly simple to get total strangers completely furious with you.
They should get a life. One of the best ways.
Wow, Clinton Russell really looks really different without that beanie. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name is Luke Radowski here of wearechange.org. As you can see, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties here with our live show. We don't usually do a show from online. We usually do it in studio, but we still have a lot of important news to get into today, as of course it looks like there's a full frontal assault on Elon Musk and Tesla, to the point where his mom's coming out and saying, hey, stop bullying my son. As of course, there's a lot of also very interesting health news that we are going to be talking about with some very interesting guests. As of course, we have a nearly packed house ready for a 2-hour conversation that's going to be happening here on thebestpoliticalshow.com that, of course, you guys get to participate with in many different ways. One of the ways is by becoming a member of lukeunfiltered.com. Another way is by going to mysuperchat.com or just super chatting and rumble ranting, and we will, of course, will be reading off all the different comments and questions that you guys have for us. And this is going to be a very interesting show since we have some really cool people with us. One of them is from the alleged meat mafia and a very interesting company that is doing some really cool things. Noble, that of course is Harry, who of course is joining us here today. Harry, for the people who don't know you, who are you and how would you introduce yourself?
What's happening, guys? Pleasure to be here. So I'm one of the founders of the Meat Mafia podcast. We started off writing a bunch of Twitter threads, kind of uncovering the history of food, what's happened in the food system, and really kind of exposed all the different stories that have led us to the point of where we are today in terms of the health crisis that's happening in the U.S. So we love the topics of just sharing insights into what's happened and how people can improve their health. And we've launched a business after that called Noble Origins, which is a supplement company focused on getting people eating the right things, highly nutrient dense food. So, doing a little bit of everything these days, but really centered around the media business, which is the podcast.
Yeah, you guys sent me some of your products. I think you guys are running a special now with promo code Luke Rudd, LUKERUD, for $15 store credit on nobleorigins.com. We're going to put that in the comment section so people could go check it out. You guys sent me some of your products, and I'll be honest, it's pretty legit. I really like the products, especially the beef liver products. So more importantly, also, thank you for coming in last minute since we had a cancellation. Clint booked Dave Smith, and Clint, let me know if this is correct. I'm hearing that his wife told him that he can't be on the show, so he just had to cancel last minute. Is that the case? Is that what happened here?
No, that's what happened with his presidential run. But no, tonight he is actually sick. He says he's coughing up a lung. I am Clint Russell, host of Liberty Lockdown. I hope my levels are good. I am very happy to be doing the show despite the fact that we missed out on Dave, but he is already confirmed we will be rescheduling with him soon. Let me know if does this come up for you guys? Are you able to see it?
No, we do not see anything but you, Clint. Right. As I think it's important to remind everyone that we're, again, not in studio, having a lot of technical difficulties. Someone who is supposed to be running the show isn't running the show. I won't point who did that. Put the other guy on screen, Josh. Josh, put him on screen. Put him on screen, Josh. wait, that not this guy. The next guy over. Someone was supposed to be doing that, and they decided to, take the lazy communist California route and outsource this very important labor. So, apologies for the technical difficulties, but we're gonna get through this show, as I think the conversation is going to be very important. It's going to be in the wheelhouse of health, of wealth, something that I think is critically important to pay attention to right now, as of course there is, in my opinion, a larger biological warfare against human beings out there. And that's why it's so important for human beings to have these very serious conversations. There's a lot of nuance to this conversation. There's a lot of things that we could nitpick, that we could get into. We're going to get into that plus more on the Rumble side, when of course this podcast transitions over to the free speech platform, where we are going to be able to get into some of the more in the weeds, down the rabbit hole pieces of information that I think are critically important for people to understand. But now that we're still on YouTube, let's talk about some of the latest news that's happening right now, as of course Elon Musk's own mother came out and tweeted, quote, "I am the mother of Elon Musk. His goal is to make this world a better place. The president of the United States wants to stop him. Have you any kind of furious? Do you know how furious I am? People in other countries are proud of Elon and do not understand the U.S. president's motive. Please tell me how I should answer them." This, as the president of the United States at the White House just moments ago stated that Elon Musk is, quote, worth being looked at, as already he is facing multiple lawsuits, multiple federal agencies and organizations going after him for such absurd cases like not hiring refugees when it comes to secret satellite spy freaking technology that he's developing. Yes, he's actually being sued for not hiring refugees and foreign nationals into that specific industry that's illegal to hire, as of course the corporate media is also running a full onslaught attack on him, specifically Tesla today, as NBC News is reporting that his vehicles are big, therefore they're dangerous. I responded to all of this saying, wait until NBC News finds out about trains and planes. As of course, the Daily Beast has another article talking about how Teslas are now going to be recalled, even though it's just a software update. Most cars now have software updates. But for the Daily Beast, this means that this is something bad and horrible for Tesla. And in reality, again, a lot of the news headlines here are salacious than sensationalistic. They're absolutely ridiculous. And I think it's fair to say, I don't know what you guys think, but I think Elon Musk ruffled some feathers there. What do you guys think?
Oh, absolutely. Let me play the last 30 seconds of this Jim Jordan interview.
You're saying that SpaceX did not hire, is that appropriate, did not hire enough refugees or people who've been granted asylum? Is that what you're asserting in the lawsuit?
And that they discourage those people from applying for any job, whether it's for a custodial position, office clerk, someone who works in a kitchen facility, all the way up through engineering.
So you're suing, I just want to cut to the chase. You're suing SpaceX because they hired too many Americans.
I think that does cut to the chase indeed. Look, I think the reality is that this is all about narrative control. You know, they are absolutely scrambling, and they have been applying significant pressure to Elon Musk ever since his acquisition of Twitter, now X. They just withdrew a $800 million contract from SpaceX. So I think that the pressure is only going to increase, and the fact that he brought back AJ, which we're not even allowed to say the name, he brought him back over the weekend. And after he said F off, I think he has decided he's no longer going to play nice. I, for one, am appreciative of it, but I'm also very concerned that if you have the DOJ and the FCC and the FAA and the FBI and all these other three-letter institutions or agencies that are going to try and crack down on this guy, it's gonna put a toll on him, and I don't know if he's going to be able to weather it.
Harry, what do you think about this situation? Because it definitely seems like almost every avenue of attack is being utilized here against the man who just wants us to be able to speak to each other freely without fear of censorship.
Yeah, I was gonna add it. He has so many different businesses where he can be attacked from. It surprised me that there aren't other, like I think of Jack Dorsey in the same vein as I do Elon Musk, another guy who I think genuinely cares about free speech with his work in the Bitcoin space, and then also promoting Nostr. So I think that there's other people out there who could help kind of alleviate some of the pressure that Elon's feeling right now. But yeah, they do not want him to succeed in any way, shape, or form. But what's interesting to me is that they still end up giving Tesla all these subsidies. So it's like they're saying one thing and doing the other. So yeah, it's interesting. I think that they're obviously trying to put more pressure on him, given the fact that where X is right now, it seems like it's trying to be the only free speech platform out there. So yeah,
I think the only reason he hasn't been full on AJ'd at this point. Hi, Steph. Welcome aboard. You want to introduce yourself real quick?
Someone's late there, Steph. What are you doing?
I was hanging out backstage.
Calling in late.
Happy birthday.
I was hanging out backstage. I'm happy to meet you. Is this Harry or Brett?
Harry, what's going on, Steph? Good to meet you.
Hi, Harry. I heard you talk about the Noble. We have that at the house.
Nice.
I know about it. So yes, I'm Steph. We Are Change. You can find me on Instagram at Steph We Are Change or on X Steph WRC. Welcome here.
So I agree with Harry's point about Elon having been a benefactor or benefited rather from a lot of government grants. He has really played the game well in terms of aligning himself with this green agenda and all of the subsidies that go along with that. I think because of that, they expected Elon Musk to be a controllable figure. The issue is that because he played that game so well, he became the richest man in the world, and now he has decided he's going to, I guess, think that he can cut his own puppet strings and see if he's a real boy. And we're going to find out here real soon because I think during the presidential election over the next 10 months or so, the desire to control narratives writ large is so enormous. And if we're able to speak freely, if AJ is able to have a platform, if all of the dissidents are allowed to speak on X, I don't know how they can maintain narrative control. And if they can't, I genuinely think that their house of cards comes crumbling down.
Yeah, Harry, it would be cool to also talk about your guys' experience on kind of social media, since there also has been a larger attack on anything that's kind of health related, anything related to alternative suggestions to the FDA and the larger Illuminati food pyramid that they keep trying to get all of us to eat in such an unnatural, crazy way. There's been so many individuals that I even personally knew throughout the years that were doing health-related content. They were on YouTube, they were on Instagram, they were on Facebook, and a lot of them couldn't survive because of the clear amount of censorship. I was wondering, how do you guys kind of navigate that, since it does really seem there's only a few platforms left, and there's a small window still left when it comes to speaking out against the larger kind of monopolies in social media who don't want you discussing the stuff that makes you healthy, that makes you fit, that makes you strong, but they love promoting the stuff that makes you fat, sick, and dumb.
Yeah, it's incredibly interesting. There's a report released this week that it was from the UK, and they were talking about different accounts that were talking kind of like, I think they described it as almost anti-science. So accounts that were talking about really natural ways to improve diet and lifestyle, talking about like raw milk, eating red meat, not really prescribing to the plant-based agenda. And Brett was tagged in that along with a number of our friends on Twitter as an account that's one of these accounts that's spreading misinformation. So for us, you see a report like that and it's pretty discouraging, but we haven't faced too much, directly in the way of like suppression and suppression of free speech. And we have been pretty, I don't think we've really held back too much. But that I think is a rare case. I think it's because we grew relatively quickly, and there wasn't a whole lot of eyeballs paying attention to what we were saying, just because we kind of came out of nowhere. But
not on their radar yet.
Yeah, but there's a number of accounts that we know of who have been suppressed heavily for talking about eating red meat. Really getting access to high quality foods. So it's pretty crazy. And that happened on, previously Twitter, and it happens on Instagram all the time. So our whole message is just try to get the truth out there about food. So we don't really try to hold back. We're definitely gonna have to move our content onto some of these more safer places like what is it, Rumbler?
Rumble.
I don't think Rumble. I just don't think there's like too much leniency for spreading the truth on some of these more popular social media platforms.
There's also some breaking news that we're seeing right now of allegedly Elon Musk creating his own kind of university in Austin, Texas. Now, I don't know if this has been kind of confirmed here or not, but this is what we're kind of seeing, that he's going to establish a STEM-focused primary, secondary school that will eventually expand into a university, high school level education for the students that will be entered into this probably private school. What would be the first thing that Elon Musk is going to be teaching people at his school?
Gamification. So they teach, he had SpaceX, he was having a school for young children, and they taught them through playing games, actually video games. I actually kind of looked into this personally, and I did an interview for one of these roles, actually. So it's called Synthesis, and that's the school, and he did it for his own kids and then also for the kids of the children of the people who worked at SpaceX.
Stem, make sure that your microphone, go in the settings and make sure the microphone you have the right one connected to the one that you're speaking at. But he did file a lot of paperwork, especially when it comes to tax exempt status, all the way back in October 22nd. We're just hearing about the news now of Elon University. I'm kind of, I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of like allergic to any kind of institution of higher learning, especially now with all the latest stuff coming out of Harvard and all these other institutions that are absolutely horrible, brainwashing institutions. But is this an institution that we might be taken seriously and might actually help the people out there? What do you guys think?
It's certainly possible. I mean, if there was any entrepreneur in America, much less on Earth, that I would like my kid to be learning from, it'd probably be Elon Musk. I think that he's demonstrated a skill set and a work ethic, and a far-reaching one at that would be aspirational for any young child. So I like the idea. At the same time, I share your hesitancy and caution when it comes to any institution of higher learning. I think that they get infiltrated and ultimately become a net negative very rapidly. But we'll see. He's done a lot of things that I thought weren't possible. If he can create a college that I would like to send my kids to, that would truly be accomplishing an impossible feat.
Harry, who's teaching the health class and what's going to be on the curriculum?
I would love to put my name in the hat for the health class. There's a ton of these charter schools coming up in the Austin area. I'm not sure if it's nationwide yet, like this trend of homeschooling or just charter schooling in general, but our buddies out in Dripping Springs have started a school. It's much different than traditional education, and I think that trend should continue. Just given like where higher education's at right now, I think this is more elementary school and high school, but still, I think everyone kind of acknowledges the fact that these institutions of education are captured, and there's definitely a lot of low-hanging fruit in terms of trying to like shrink the classroom and trying to teach kids in a way that actually gets them to learn. So yeah, I think it's a trend that should continue.
Yeah, the current education system is essentially an indoctrination center that has been bankrolled and financed by individuals like David Rockefeller, that essentially just is there to make good factory slave workers and obedient individuals that just follow orders blindly. If we have new schools, because Elon Musk keeps talking about this, and I think this is why he's under attack as much as he is right now. He keeps talking about the importance of the youth, the importance of people having babies, reproducing. As it's fair to say, looking at the data myself, we are facing a larger civilizational collapse because there's not enough people procreating. There's not a lot of people having babies. Because of that, there's going to be a lot of imbalance in the future societies, not just with Social Security, but with many other aspects of our society that are going to be in a very precarious situation because of this larger kind of deep population agenda that is essentially being carried out right in front of our eyes. Elon Musk is one of those individuals actually speaking out against it. And to me, this is one reason why he has a lot of legitimacy. Him starting a university and an education-based system that is promising to be different than the one we have now, it's also kind of giving me legitimacy that he's really investing in the future of this country, unlike a lot of other people. And that's why he's probably under attack by the Biden administration that now wants to investigate him more, even though there's multiple lawsuits, government regulations, and agencies literally going after every single aspect of his business. I think that one of the things that is keeping him safe is the Starlink defensive military industrial complex capabilities of that technology that he, of course, is now utilizing in places like Ukraine and Israel, and of course for the benefit of the United States government, as now Starlink has also started to operate in contested territories in the Arctic, where, of course, the Russians are trying to get their foothold in as well. So lots of different things happening behind the scenes, but how do you think Elon's kind of balance will kind of move forward here? Because on one hand, he does get a lot of carbon credits. He does get a lot of government contracts. He does have a lot of ties to defense industries that are crucial for American defense. On the other hand, he's going up against their agenda, the eugenics depopulation agenda, more than anyone else in our kind of culture. And he's having a big impact on it. And I think this school is a testament to that.
Yeah, I think he can push the envelope a lot for the exact reason that you detailed, is that he's got all these government contracts, which ultimately he's providing a service to the government that they really can't provide themselves. He wins a lot of bids, even against NASA. He's able to get us to space cheaper and more efficiently and more safely. So because of his skill set, he has a far wider berth than the average American, and he's able to really push it. But I think people really aren't giving enough credence to what the infiltration of the higher learning institutions will mean for our future. As you've seen over the past week with these college presidents or university presidents that are being dragged up on Capitol Hill, and many of them are now being forced to resign, it's a good step in the right direction, I think, even though I don't necessarily agree with the reason that they're being pushed out. But the reality is that the vast majority of these institutions of higher learning are really indoctrination mills into a very un-American worldview. And I don't see how we can expect to compete in a global economy given that our best and brightest are being funneled through these indoctrination mills. It just seems as if it is so on its face self-destructive. And I really think that if we expect to compete in the next century, we have to resolve that immediately. And if Elon can play a part in that, great. But I think that the pressure on him is going to be unbearable over the next 10 months.
I think there's a deliberate agenda to try to destroy America from within, because if you compare short, chubby, anxiety-filled, Ritalin-popped fat kids in America, you compare to what they're studying and what they're looking at here in the curriculum that they're given, essentially being incentivized to chop on their favorite bodily organ. You compare that to the Chinese that are essentially way above us, especially when it comes to math, science, reading scores that are absolutely obliterating the average American student. When you have a nation that is being so attacked, when you have so many fat kids, when you have so much obesity, that's not a sign that a country is going to be prosperous, as of course the IQ of this country is going down dramatically, and that's going to be a very serious issue. I correlate it with health. This is where I want to kind of bring you, Harry, into this kind of larger conversation as well, because if your body's not right, your mind's not right as well. And I think a lot of people forget to correlate the two. And with obesity, cancer rates, and heart disease rates going up in America, this not only highlights a larger problem that's going to be weighing us down physically, but also mentally, with a lot of cognitive function that is going to be kind of affected here as well, comparatively to the Chinese that I usually make a lot of jokes about fitting in places where only two Americans can.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, have you guys seen that video? It's like an old high school in California. These kids are working out outside on monkey bars and doing all sorts of physical training. And they look like they could be in the military, but it's just a high school gym class. And that was, I think, in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, it's like black and white footage, and all of them are actually doing pull-ups, running, lunging, and like jumping over things, and at peak physical fitness for, I think, the top 1% today.
Yes. And then you think about today, and you mentioned mental health and physical health. They're one and the same. If your physical health is not well, then there's definitely going to be problems when it comes to your mental well-being and just your overall vitality. And I think that today there's 88% of people who are struggling with metabolic dysfunction, which basically just means that their body can't turn food into energy in the way that it's supposed to. And so, like, if you think about that statistic, it's as doom and gloom as it gets when it comes to our overall health as a country. And there's something to be said, that the health of the average person really should be the priority of everyone. We should be trying to eat foods that promote people to go live incredible lives. And if the average person either can't get access to great food, or the information that they're being told to what to eat is just flat out wrong, that's really kind of like how we've gotten into this situation to begin with. And we've made cheap food very common and very hyper palatable. So I think that's why we're seeing this trend in childhood obesity and obesity in general. And it's pretty disheartening, because we just see more and more people get sick and more pharmaceutical drugs pushed in people's faces to fix the problem. And it's really just a short-term fix that doesn't really solve the root cause of the issue.
Yeah, pharmaceutical drugs that we're getting from China that we have to keep buying from them, that we have to be dependent on. As of course, there are a lot of nutritional deficiencies in the average American, as our food is being factory farmed and losing a lot of essential minerals, a lot of essential nutrients that it used to have, that it no longer has, because of these mass kind of factories, because of all these artificial sweeteners and flavors, and of course glyphosate that ruin your gut biome. And when your gut biome is destroyed, so is of course your mental health, as of course your gut creates a lot of very important chemicals for your brain to operate optimally. And when you have a direct attack on the gut, you have a direct result of a lot of people dealing with things like anxiety and other mental disorders that are directly correlated with it, that medical doctors are like, don't change your diet, don't change your habits, don't change your sleep, don't exercise. Here's a pill. Just take this. This is going to help you. This is going to fix everything for you here, buddy. And of course, that's not the solution here to move forward. We also got a Rumble rant from the Quartering. Shouts out to the Quartering. He's an awesome dude that I've teamed up with and worked with. He was, I think, on the first kind of episode that we ever did on Rumble when we were at the presidential debates. Quartering says, quote, "We're not so bad." A quote attributed to, quote, Big Seed Oil. So thank you for the Rumble rant. Jeremy from the Quartering. Check him out on Rumble. He also does a live show here and does an incredible job. And I think overall, great dude, personally myself. But how do you respond to the Big Seed Oil company saying we're not so bad?
Well, before he gets to that, I just wanted to point out, since we had the Massa Chips guy on last week, I went into my freezer, into my fridge to try and get rid of all the seed oil stuff, and it was like everything.
You lucky you did it, because I would have. I still haven't been to your place, but every place I go to, I literally go into the fridge. I came here to the Beanie compound. I'm here with Tim Pool. I'm literally in his house. The first thing I did as soon as I came in, I was like, "Show me where you're hiding the seed oils, all right?" Because they're not going to be staying here long. And I'm like, "This is cancer. This is sucks. This is going to screw you over. This is going to shrink your wiener. This is going to mess up your endocrine system." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "No." And Clint, you're lucky. You got rid of your seed oils, because I would have came up into your crib and they would have been done for anyway.
Well, I knew it was coming, so I proactively removed it. But the point I was trying to make is that it's unbelievable how pervasive it is. As soon as you realize that this is screwing up your metabolic processes, and you try and purge it, you just like walk through a grocery store, it's almost impossible to shop. And then you have all this inflation, which makes it so that you want to buy the cheaper items. The cheaper items are filled with this stuff, so it's no mystery as to why people are not just physically unfit, but also now mentally unfit.
Yeah, a lot of people probably feel like they don't really have a choice, and a lot of processed foods are just like chock full of these really cheap ingredients that are terrible for you. We had a guy on our podcast, I think he was like episode 5. He used to work for a big food company making frozen burritos, and he was doing cost optimization for the company. And his job was just looking at a spreadsheet, seeing how he could make things cheaper. And a lot of times the oil is the thing that they can move the needle the most on, just because it's very caloric and you can make it cheaply through the process of canola oil and soybean oil. There's so many subsidies backing these types of crops, and it makes it really accessible for these big food companies to access it. And ultimately, it's just terrible for you. You know, a lot of people look for studies to prove that these things are terrible for you, but I like to kind of point to the logic. So it's a 15-step process to create seed oils. And in that process, they're using bleach and they're deodorizing the oils with all different types of chemicals. And I just think if you're going through a 15-step process that involves deodorizing and bleach, you just shouldn't put that in your body. And then you can dig into the science all you want. It's incredibly inflammatory, but I just like to leave it at that. It's pretty crazy. And yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head on just how pervasive these ingredients are. They're in everything. It's unbelievable.
No, like seriously, and it's increasing in volume in such an egregious way where now even Whole Foods is dominated with it. The wet bar at Whole Foods, and I'm reading the ingredients. I'm like, horrible. I always make sure to scream loudly as much as I can inside of these supermarkets, including even the health ones that have a bunch of this stuff. And for some reason, people think, you know, I'm on a healthy vegan diet. Oreos are vegan. And I'm like, you're a dummy because you're poisoning yourself. And essentially a large portion of the vegan diet are a lot of the foods that are subsidized by big government. Corn, a lot of soy, a lot of the industries that have hijacked are stealing essentially our tax dollars and have a lot of incentive to produce this crap that is done in partnership with Monsanto, another organization that Bill Gates heavily invested in. As of course, Bill Gates also surprisingly bought a lot of stock in Bud Light, as Bud Light is also increasing in stock value recently, as some people are telling people to start drinking Bud Light. This is not the channel that this is going to be happening. And this is something that I think is more important than ever culturally. We got another super chat here by I'm Not Your Buddy Guy. And he said they've done the cost benefit analysis. Quote, he has to go. I believe you're talking about Elon Musk here. And just to kind of revert back to this conversation, because there's a lot of things we want to talk about health. We can't on this particular YouTube broadcast. But let's just bring the conversation back over to Elon Musk. Will he be able to stay, or will they be taking him down? How do you guys kind of foresee everything happening now? As of course, it looks like Twitter is going to be operating at a loss, and he's going to be using a lot of his other businesses in order to subsidize it. As of course, now he just said, F off. He just said, bring back AJ. He's kind of going all out against the system. Will the system be able to stop him? What do you guys think?
I think that the real issue is that because he's providing a platform to so many canceled people, it's creating a whack-a-mole situation where the government doesn't know who to hammer down. It's like there's so many people. So the one person that really hammers every political dissident down is Elon Musk. If they can actually force X out of business via the advertising pressure campaigns that have come through Media Matters, or if they can punish him with so many lawsuits and litigation that he just says, screw it, it's not worth it, and he decides to sell or take the company public and basically bend the knee. Like there's a lot of potential avenues for him to ultimately give in, but based off of his rhetoric, he seems to identify that this is an existential battle, and he seems to be in it for the long haul. I hope he's sincere. Only time will tell, honestly.
Yeah, I think that Andrew Sorkin interview that he had, I think it was last week, gives me hope that he's in it and he's willing to fight the good fight. I don't think they're going to be able to slow him down. I think he has enough control for himself. They'll obviously do everything they can, but I have faith that he can weather the storm and continue to put up a fight against the suppression of free speech.
I mean, he's worth $250 billion. So if this dude can't fight back, then we're really screwed.
Yeah, there's enough human capital on his side.
Yeah, it's incredible because he already put, $44 billion on Twitter. We're also seeing that he's now spending $100 million on this kind of university in Austin, Texas. So that's a lot of money there. We're talking about, the kind of spending bills of people like Volodymyr Zelensky, okay? Those are big budgets. That's a lot of, we're talking about we're not even just talking about Hunter Biden spending money here. Okay, we're talking about more than that, as money is a major tool, is a major asset, and Elon Musk definitely has galvanized a lot of it. Literally, the richest person, according to the assets that he controls, more than anyone else in the world. And as you mentioned, Clint, if he can't do it, I don't think anyone can. And is he going to be a good guy? That's a lot of questions that a lot of people have, as well as there's also a lot of skepticism when it comes to some people even going as far as to describe him as a potential antichrist or an individual who just might be there to, of course, be a part of the system, a part of some kind of larger conspiracy and psyop. Now, I personally don't believe that. I think we should always judge a person by the fruits of what they provide. And I think the ability of having free speech is absolutely crucial for a free society. And I think he has done more when it comes to fighting for individual liberty and for free speech than any Republican presidential candidate or politician ever has in our current political discourse. Is that too much to say, or do you think that's fair?
I think that's absolutely fair. I mean, just to spin this more optimistically, as opposed to him being the Antichrist, which, if he starts putting chips in people's brains and we all become zombies, okay, maybe he is. But up until then, because so many people have been canceled, there is an entire ecosystem or an economic system that is outside of the mainstream that is so popular now that there's a real financial incentive to go and acquire that market share. And Elon, I think, has identified that. I think that's what he's doing with X, and he can actually bolster the broader audience for all of these dissident voices, as long as he's willing to weather the storm, as long as people are willing to support his work and subscribe to X and do whatever they can to try and keep this singular platform alive that is allowing for all of these people who are completely counter to what the mainstream narrative is supposed to be. If he does that successfully, I think that he can then convert X into what his dream is to make it the everything app, make it a payment processor and host and a competitor to YouTube and all these other, lofty ideas that seemed like a pipe dream for a while. I think it's now possible, but he's really going to be forced to stay true to his word when it comes to free speech. If he wavers, if he demonstrates that he is in fact backing down, I think that then the rumbles of the world and everybody else will start to eat his lunch once again. So he's got to stay on the path.
It's going to be interesting to see how this is all going to be unfolding. We got another super chat here by Darkaton saying, "Why is everyone scared to platform Shiva? Let's go." I don't think people are scared to platform Shiva. We got another one here from Dick Dickerson saying, "Media light, not light." I don't know what you meant by that. You have another one here by Dick Dickerson saying, also, the two biggest takes from the Twitter space that none is talking about the following. Elon said he's willing to do jail time to defend free speech, and also he's suing media items in every country they operate in. Yes, there's also a lot of different lawsuits that Elon Musk is involved in, that Rumble is involved in, as of course we're going through a lot of legal lawfare as well. We got another one here by Dick Dickerson saying, "Seamus is made of seed oils and soy." Yes, it's a fake potato. It's not a real one. It's filled with just a whole bunch of seed oils. But I wanted to kind of continue this conversation because, and I wanted to double down on my kind of statement here about Elon Musk, because I don't think people understand the significance of free speech. I don't think people understand how just critically important it is when it comes to our current landscape, that we're dealing with a fifth generational warfare where a lot of disinformation, a lot of bad information is sent out there and deliberately is hurting people in so many different ways. Health, food, diet is one of those specific ways, as already a lot of the topics surrounding it are censored on all the other big tech social media platforms. Twitter is one of the few spaces that I actually see people talking freely about their kind of larger takes on health. And again, when it comes to health, yes, there's a couple snake oil salesmen. Yes, there's a couple bad apples there. But overall, when it comes to individuals coming together and saying, "Hey, you should do your blood test. Hey, you should do what's right for you as an individual. Hey, you should do what works for you. And you shouldn't be looking at the food pyramid chart and sucking down 80 frickin' percent of grains that it filled with glyphosate down your gullet. Maybe you shouldn't just be doing what the government is telling you to do. Maybe you shouldn't follow the science blindly and have blinders onto your eyes. Maybe you should do a little bit of critical thinking, deep analysis, and research into not just overall health, but your specific things that make you run optimally and the best version of yourself. So this is something that I wanted to kind of continue, but we can only continue that conversation on Rumble, which we are going to be transitioning to right now. And I want you guys who are watching this now on Facebook and YouTube to go over to rumble.com, where, of course, the conversation is going to be held in a more free way where there's no restrictions and we can get into the weeds here, as of course we have a really awesome company, Noble Origins, on. We have a promo code Luke Rudd, get 15% store credit on items that you guys sent me that I use, that I like. I really like the beef liver stuff. Some people are like, oh man, this tastes like beef liver. I'm like, it's beef liver. What do you think it was going to taste like? Some people have a preferred taste. Some of the other products you have don't taste like beef liver. I don't like the taste of beef liver, but I like the nutrients of beef liver, which the human body usually runs very well on when they get that proper nutrition. A lot of pregnant women usually just strive for beef organs. A lot of Abdullahs tell women, hey, you're pregnant, go get beef organs. Again, do the right thing that is right for you as an individual. But before we go and leave this wonderful technocratic censorious space that is YouTube, Harry, where can people find you as we move on from this platform?
Yeah, check me out on X, Meat Mafia Harry. We also have the Meat Mafia Media on Instagram. We're the Meat Mafia Podcast on YouTube. Check us out. We've done 252 episodes of the podcast, a bunch of great people talking about how to take control of your health. So go check out the pod on all the different channels that you can find podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music.
Clint, who was supposed to be doing all the button pushing and has decided to outsource this very key important role that I taught him and showed him how to do. Where can people find you, Clint?
For some reason, my StreamYard is not equipped to do the button pushing, so I apologize. I'm being honest. I would love to be able to do it right now. At Liberty Lockpod on X, please do follow me there. Liberty Lockdown's the show, and for the commenter that said we're afraid to have Dr. Shiva on, I had Dr. Shiva on Liberty Lockdown 30 days ago. Go check it out if you don't believe me. Yeah, I also do a show called Tower Gang, which will be on Rumble later tonight at 9:30. But everybody transition to Rumble. If your college professor tells you to transition, you have no problem doing it. I'm telling you to also do it, but do it to Rumble this time, all right? Come on.
But don't chop anything off.
Yeah.
Stephanie, who was late.
Steph, we are changed, never late, always on time.
Happy birthday.
Belated.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's going to be it for me. As of course, I got to get ready for the Beanie Show. We're going to have a really great show starting 8 p.m. Eastern on Timcast.